Nope, hold on. Pardon us.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls' and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did.
I'm good. Good evening and welcome to the special July 23rd episode of the Right Side Podcast. And ta-da! Guess who I've got here? We've got Perry Johnson, gubernatorial candidate. We're so glad you came to meet us, Perry. Welcome to the red county of Livingston.
Well, I hope it's red enough for me.
Oh. Well, it is proven red for many candidates, so you're gonna love us here. You will not find an enemy in our county. All right, so this is we're gonna welcome him and greeting. Look at this right away, right off the bat. Greetings from Wayne County. All right, here we go. There, you got it. You got it online. Perry Johnson for governor 2026. He voted for you by absentee ballot. Thanks, Mark. That's Mark from Wayne County. Glad to have you here, Mark. Okay, so I'm going to get right into this podcast. So let's learn all about Perry. It's all Perry all night.
Okay.
So what? Tell me, start from early on. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school, et cetera, et cetera?
Why don't we start right from the beginning?
Start it.
You know, I was very, like many of you, just a normal American. My dad was a pilot in World War II. My mom was a nurse in the Army WACs. And they met in Europe at a New Year's Eve party. And it was one heck of a party. In fact, I'm here today. The bottom line is that I have this wonderful, wonderful heritage, and my parents love this country. I grew up in a town called Dalton, Illinois, about a 600 square foot house. I had 2 siblings, so there were 3 of us. We had 1 bathroom, but we had this great life. I went to St. Mary's Elementary School. My first teacher was Sister Mary Dolores. She was my teacher when I first got there. She became the principal in 8th grade. And when I was in 2nd grade, I became an altar boy. And my goal in 2nd grade was to be the first American pope. It didn't work out.
Well, interesting.
But I bring this up because Pope Leo lived a few blocks from me. He also went to St. Mary's. He also had Sister Mary Dolores. My brother was in his class, and he did become the first American pope.
You heard it here, folks. Here first, folks. We almost had Pope Johnson the first. All right. So
the problem is real simple.
Pope Perry the first.
Yeah, I mean, I was attracted to women, and when I went to school, by the way, nobody had to ask me what sex I was. I already knew.
That sort of kills the popeship right
the
there.
Stupidest setup we have right now.
You failed Pope application 101. I like women. Whoops. All right.
So
okay.
Then I ended up going to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. I had to work my way through school. My parents didn't have the money to send me to college. But I worked at Republic Steel and I worked at Lever Brothers. And I worked my way through. And I ended up coming to Michigan for grad school. And interestingly, in grad school, it was pretty tough. There were times there that was more than pretty tough. It was like bizarre because I had been working at Intervisions. And in fact, the psychiatrist there hadn't paid me in about 8 or 9 months. And I had my gas shut off and I was getting evicted. I remember I had to come up with $1,300 that Friday. And so on Thursday night, I called my buddy Mike Zerbini, who was in med school, and he was even more broke than I was. He was $300,000 in debt. And I said, Mike, we have to get a bridge game together. We had finished second in the national men's, so we were somewhat of a celebrity in this arena. And we were representing the United States in the Olympiad. So Pino Weiser, who owned these clinics, had been trying to play us. I just never had any time. So I called Pino up and said, we're going to play you tonight. We got some people to back us. And he wrote that $1,300 check out to the courts, which prevented me from getting evicted. So I know what it's like not to be able to have a sub sandwich because you don't have the money.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because our people are hurting right now in this state. And we have a state that's been going in the wrong direction for a long time. And when you reach a point where you have the government throwing away your money, and here you are making a decision over whether you can afford to buy food, or am I going to put gas in the car, or I'm buying a book for my kids, it's just not right. Now, I ended up getting a job with Borg Warner at a time when the auto industry was in serious trouble. I don't know if anybody remembers what it was like back in the 80s, but Japan had come in with tremendous quality, and they were really killing us.
Yes. Oh, yes. I remember.
And back then, I was lucky enough to get this job with Borg Warner where I was in charge of Ford. And Ford supplied about $550 million a year. I mean, Borg Warner. Borg Warner supplied $550 million a year to Ford. And I was in charge of the Ford account. I was very lucky to get that because I'm not an engineer. I'm a mathematician. My background was mathematics. But the person there, the president, wanted to hire he wanted a genius. And he said, okay, this guy's a genius, so I'm going to hire him.
Nice.
Okay. And the bottom line is, at that time, we had a very interesting approach because here I had this quality issue. We had shut down one of the facilities, and I have to go into this plant. And I noticed that they have these inspectors at the end of the line. If the product isn't any good, they are either reworking it or throwing it out. And I said to myself, this is the nuttiest setup I've ever seen because we've had all this labor in and we're throwing out the product and then we're at the best reworking it. What's even worse is we're never going to get any better. And I thought I knew how to solve the problem. The key was variation. I was going to reduce the variation in the process. And I did this by starting in the beginning of the process. Now, we had the people already measuring the product. They would measure all these parts. And the problem is they never knew when the variation meant anything. So I had them construct a moving average chart. They had to make it by hand.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have computers back then. So they had to make it by hand. And I set the limits at plus or minus 3 sigma. And I had them plot the points. They would take 5 measurements. They would plot the average. And systematically, they used this tool to iron out all the variation. Now, little by little, the variation got less and less, and I had everybody do this all down the line. And you know what? In about 4 or 5 years, we didn't need the inspectors. We had the best quality in the world, and we were able to produce this car for 40% less. And it's amazing. I then took and started my own company, systematically implementing SPC across this country, then eventually over in Europe. And then when I was over there in England, I noticed that they had the same kind of issues. And I said, why not quality as a way of life? Why not a standard for quality? Heck, we have a standard for everything. This paper, we have this table, we have my cup. So why not a standard for quality? And I wrote a book, ISO 9000, the quality standard. It took off like hotcakes. And I have spent my whole life bringing quality and efficiency to companies and organizations. I have worked with the Navy, DOD, and over 60,000 companies. That is what I've been doing. That's my skill set. And I want to take that skill set and bring quality and efficiency to the state of Michigan.
Well, we can certainly use it. I know we've made some great strides, but there's a whole lot longer to go. Really quick here, let's see what we got here. We got Amy Kingsley says greetings from Huron County. Hi, Amy. Glad you're with us. Tiffany from Heartland, hello. And then Heartland Voters endorses Perry Johnson for governor. Kelly Powell, welcome to Livingston, Perry. Parker says she's watching live, and Perry for Michigan. Yay, okay. All right, so let's go. So let me ask you some questions, Perry, if you don't mind.
Fire away.
Tell us what are the first 3 things on your list that you're going to do once you get elected? You take over January 1. First 3 things. What are you doing?
Well, what happens is, number one, you have to be in a position where you can start implementing what you're doing. And you know that my approach is always to investigate first what is bad, what we can improve, and how we're going to have the low-hanging fruit give us returns right away. Okay. So I do what's called a mega audit. I would do the Michigan Efficiency Government Audit. Okay. It's a very short audit, but you get to, the first thing that's done is you get the top 12 people. It doesn't matter how big the organization. You could have an organization of 300,000 people, an organization of 100,000 people, an organization of 1,000 people, an organization of 100 people. You typically have somewhere between 8 and 12 people that run the show.
Okay. Yes, agreed.
You get that group together. And the way that I've always do it, and I've done it with every company, and it's actually pretty comical in the beginning. I come in and I tell them that I want everyone to submit a plan to me of how we are going to cut our costs by 10%. And everybody says it can't be done. I said, well, that's usually the way it works. But there's probably going to be somebody here who will end up doing that. And that person will be your boss. They'll teach you how to do it. And you'll have a chance because you'll report to them. They'll tell you exactly what they did. And you'll then have them as your boss. Now, I don't know which one of you is going to end up being the boss. We'll find out pretty soon. But one of you will probably find a way to do it. Okay. And that person will teach you. And you know what happens? In about 3 or 4 days, I'll have 2 or 3 people coming to me. I know I can do it. This is my plan. And it's amazing how suddenly you have this plan where they couldn't cut a dime, and now they're cutting 10%. Yep. And when we do that, we start them on the right thinking. You have to understand that we look at our government, and they always say to me, Perry, there's no way you can do this. You're not a politician. You've never been in Congress. I admit I'm not a politician. I admit I'm an outsider. I admit I'm a guy that spent his entire life bringing quality and efficiency to these organizations. I have worked with areas of the government. I have worked with DOD. I've worked with over 60,000 companies. But what we have to realize is that in our government, we have 2 real areas. The first is Congress. They appropriate the money. They tell us how much money we have. And we have this amount of money in our budget. The civilian workforce, well, they don't get elected. They're there from one administration to the next. And they're just like any other workforce. People say, well, you can't fire government employees. Well, frankly, you go to any big company, you can't just fire people. At Ford, at General Motors, you have to have buyouts. You can't just fire anymore. I mean, so you can't just go in and say, okay, I'm going to get rid of 100,000 people or 5,000 people. It doesn't work that way. What actually happens is that civilian workforce is pretty much like any regular workforce. And we now are going to make that workforce more efficient. The key to this whole thing is that by making it more efficient, I'm in a position now where I can actually eliminate the income tax because the governor has at his disposal an executive right to suspend 3 taxes at any time. The governor can at any time suspend the gas tax, the sales tax, or the income tax. The only tax that the governor cannot suspend is the property tax, and that requires a constitutional amendment.
Yes.
So what I'm talking about is the fact that every single state in the union that eliminated the income tax ignited that economy.
Mm-hmm.
When you take a look at what happens, it's amazing. Where is the financial district of Chicago moving now? They have a 4.95% sales income tax.
Mm-hmm.
They are moving to Florida and Texas now because there's no tax.
Agreed.
Think of what happens. We suddenly eliminate the income tax in Michigan. They are so close. There is no reason not to come right here. And we have so many companies that could come here. The two things that we need to do is we have to get that right to work law so that we are not coercing people to join the union. And number two, we have to eliminate the state income tax. Now, I know that on the eliminating the income tax, that is something that I can get done. I would imagine that in about 6 to 9 months, we're going to be able to accomplish that objective. The beauty of doing that is that once I ignite the state and the people have faith in the governor and the government, getting them to pass the amendment in 2 years from my being elected is much more viable.
That's good long-term thinking. I've worked in the legislature through 3 different governors, and I saw the good ones and I saw the bad ones. I remember I was in the legislature when Governor Snyder brought right to work to the we shepherded it through the Senate, and it was wonderful what happened afterwards, but boy, it was pulling teeth. So I can tell you that kind of audit is needed because I know there's a whole bunch of stuff. Let's get to some of these statements here. Oh my goodness, let's go here. Right on, Deb. We certainly need it. We need Perry. Correct. Sorry we couldn't make it. Perry has our support. Well, you got a lot of good supporters here. I'm voting for you, Perry. Here's a question for you, Perry. I've been seeing lots of things saying Michigan's one of the places we could have massive investment. What are some federal dollar programs you'd be looking to utilize? Good question, JR.
Well, that is a very good question. What I've been focusing on is not utilizing the federal dollars. I'm far more interested in trying to lean our government right now.
Okay.
Because what we have is a very difficult situation. When I go out there and I talk to the people, and I've spent, as you know, more time than anybody campaigning. So I've had a chance to see everyone. I'm a lot like President Trump in the sense that I'm a workhorse. And when you take a look at who's really out there, I'm everywhere. So I get a chance to see what people are saying. And the number one issue right now in this election happens to be affordability.
Right.
That's a major concern.
Agreed.
So I'm going to address that issue first, and the first thing I'm going to do is try to have common sense in our government. What I can do is put it in perspective, because people are coming up to me and saying, there's no way you're going to be able to cut $13.5 billion.
Oh, garbage. You
so
can. If you have the stamina, you do.
And I'm going to keep it in perspective, because it seems like such an enormous task. So let's start with it. We started with a budget of $56.5 billion. And now we're over $80 billion. If we had gone up at the rate of inflation, we'd already be at a point where we could pretty much eliminate the income tax. That's at a macro perspective. But let me give you some examples of complete nuttiness. We have as an objective, probably one of the best objectives in the world, to try to ameliorate the quality of reading for 4th graders and under. Because we know that our 4th graders and under were very, very weak in reading. And that is certainly one of the most worthy objectives we could ever have, because one of my major goals is to improve our school system. So now we're taking a look at this. So she's going to allocate $1 billion a year in order to affect that. Well, we were 26th in the country when she started, and now we're all the way down to 44th. We got worse.
Lovely.
And why did we get worse? Because she never bothered to do a mega audit. She never bothered to take a look at what really works and what really does the job to get us more efficient. A huge problem. You don't just throw money at things because you say, oh, I'm going to throw money at it so it's going to improve. No, it doesn't improve just because you throw money at it. We eliminated phonics. Think about that. How do you learn to read? You learn to read 2 ways. You need to know what the letters sound like and vocabulary. In fact, what I did with my kids is that I started them on phonics at the age of 1 and 2. There's the letter factory.
I did too.
Remember that every letter makes a sound.
That's
The
right.
A says
That's right.
ah,
That's
the B
right.
says but.
That's right.
Man, it was ringing in my ears. I got tired of listening to it. But
But
know
it
what?
worked.
It works. That's it. And there's no reason we can't start this program with our kids very early at 1 and 2.
Now, thank you. By the way, you've given me that song in my head now. Every letter makes a sound. B says bye.
You know, right?
I do.
Then think of this too. Think of the beauty of getting the parents involved. Having the parents involved, letting the parents have a choice, letting the parents be the controller of where their kids go to school, of the learning process. Having them get involved in that has an amazing impact.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Every single state that did that improved the quality of education in that state. That's why I have the Parents' Bill of Rights that I laid out.
Nice.
And on my site, I
Nice.
list my whole program. I don't want to spend the entire day. I could spend 6 hours telling you about the education
Yeah, we
program.
won't be doing that tonight.
But-
you come back and do that.
But we have to understand that is a major goal, and we have to look at that. Let me
Oh,
give
look,
you-
you got a Heartland school board member going, yeah! Power to the Jeff Scott. Power to the parents.
Should we be
yes.
teaching our kids things
We
that make
should,
sense?
we should.
You know, I asked I have 2 boys that are 17, one 22. My one 17-year-old, he says he wants to major in philosophy. I said, what are you going to do, sit around in a corner and philosophize all day?
I think, therefore I am.
So, I mean, it is
yeah,
nutty, right?
Yeah.
We should be teaching the trades.
Yes,
Think about what
yes.
happens. If you become an electrician, a carpenter, a mason worker, a bricklayer, any of those
Right,
things,
right.
you can get a job making $100,000 a year in a matter of 3 or 4 years. You can have your own company. You can be making $300,000 a year. What's wrong with setting our kids up so that they can have a great way to make a living? And
Not a thing, Perry. Not a thing. All right, though I'm going to ask you the single in Livingston County's world, the single most important question that, in my opinion, determines who ought to be the governor, and that is, what are you going to do, or why are you going to be the candidate? Right now, we've got a great big independent base. We got Republicans here, on the right side, for my right side, not yours. Right side Republicans, left side Democrats. Then we got this big old fatty chunk of independents and their swing voters. And these guys cannot win them. You're the candidate. Jocelyn's the candidate. Let's just say in November. Why are you going to pull more of those independents than Jocelyn? Because without those independents, we lose.
Well,
so why are
actually,
you going to do it against
we know for a fact that I'm the independence guy.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, that's why the Southeast Chamber of Commerce, who was supporting Dugan, and all these Dugan supporters are going to me.
Good.
In fact, I am going to be going there tomorrow morning to another one of their events. Okay. I gave to their event that they had at Andiamos. I was the guy that they endorsed, because the independents are behind me, because they understand that the only way we're going to have an efficient government is if you have a guy who knows how to go in there and lean an operation. But here's the most important thing to understand in our political process. How does it really work in general? The politicians spend their money trying to get donations so they can run ads to get elected. And then when they get elected, half of their job, maybe 70% of their job, is to try to get more donations so that they can get elected the next time. And it's really a very interesting phenomenon. So every politician, it doesn't matter who I pick, you end up having these donations from special interest groups. And I'm not going to name any of the candidates out here, but when you think about it, if you get donations from the people building data centers, you get donations from the people powering data centers, you now are beholden to them. And we had that. We know that one of the candidates who's no longer in anymore, they mentioned on the debate stage one time, he had $700,000 donated by TTE. So when you have situations like that, you become beholden to people. That's why I did not allow people to donate to my campaign. Okay. That way I'm not beholden to anyone. And I don't have to worry when I'm going to be building a road, I'm not going to be taking a look at who set up this PAC for me and donated a couple $1 million.
Got it.
Because I'm going to be able to go to the most effective way of building a road.
And that's going to attract that's why the independents are attracted to you.
And the independents think we need to lean our government. Okay. They know we have a problem. So they're looking at the same thing. And understand that if we eliminate this income tax, which I will be able to do, every typical family will get roughly $4,747 every year. Think about that extra 4747.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 years, you could buy a house. My son, who's 22, started his mortgage company at 17. And he told me, Dad, person has $10,000, they can buy a house.
Yep.
And you only need 3%
And you turn that house into something else. And yes, you
can change it. And then when you have people coming to our state instead of leaving our state, you get more sales tax, you get more gas tax, you ignite the state. We have to create this environment for other companies to want to come to the state, for people to want to come here.
Oh yes, and that's exciting to hear, because I saw what Governor Snyder did when he dropped a lot of the regulations and stuff. So I think that your plan, your numbers game, that's not a game, but your numbers plan, we'll say, is a very good one. And I think that.
But I can give you another example of
go.
nuttiness. Okay.
Go ahead.
So we allocated. This is particularly good.
Good.
We decided we wanted to create more jobs. So what they did, that's what our governor did, was say, okay, let's do a study to see what we need to do to create more jobs. And the person came in and said, well, I don't know. Before we do that, let's do a study on the effectiveness of our studies. So they had the two studies. They determined, okay, we're going to set this thing up and we're going to create, quote, 25,752 jobs. Not 53, 52 jobs. They allocated the billions of dollars, $1.8 billion. They're going to create 25,752 jobs. Now, that's a fact. How many did they really create? 602. That's $3 million per job.
Oh my gosh!
And then there's no clawback.
Is this the MEDC that did this?
That is the MEDC.
Oh my gosh!
That's why if the debate, watch the debates.
Okay, yeah, I did.
You go and watch the debates. You'll listen to the debates. We brought up the MEDC in the debates, and company after company, including like John James's company, they said they were going to create 100 jobs, and I can't pick on them. But they're like all the other companies, because with the companies that got this money, I don't need a single. You can take just about any company that got the money didn't create the jobs. It didn't matter who it was.
Yes.
And they just weren't going to create them, because why? They never really did any kind of study or audit to really see what needs to be done in order to really create the jobs.
Okay.
So you can't just throw money at things. What about this? This is a good one. They wanted to increase the speed of the Amtrak train. Think of that one. So they wanted to increase it by 10%. They spent about $1 billion to try to increase the speed of the Amtrak train. You know what? They didn't even succeed. So when we take a look at these nutty things that we do, and people say to me, can I not find a way to lean the government by $13.5 billion? Heck, it's probably the easiest job I'll ever have in my life.
God. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. That's I was there, and I've worked on many budgets, and I saw the waste, but I don't know that I realized that. I've never been I've been spared in my life. I've worked on the DHHS budget, which is half the state budget. Where are you going to go with that one? That means everything else in the state is lumped into one pile, and an equal pile is just the DHHS stuff. How do you get your arms around that? It was two-sided pages on like 6-point font, and it was like this high. It was huge, just this stack of budget. Going through that took months.
So when you talk about what I'm doing, so that's step one. Number two, I would immediately have a moratorium on all the data centers.
Oh, that was the next question.
Because I was out yesterday. Let me give you an example of what happened yesterday.
Okay.
I was out in Sturgis yesterday. And we're out over there in Sturgis, and we actually went to a data center. Now, I went to the planning board, and I gave a talk to the planning board, and I said that these data centers may be destroying your communities. And then what I did was explain to them that the sound waves from these data centers are damaging babies. We know that.
Okay.
We know there are carcinogenic impacts as a result of these data centers. We just don't know what they are.
Okay.
There are no OSHA requirements for building data centers. There are OSHA requirements for everything else. So I say, let's have a moratorium, and let's now go and evaluate what's really going on. Keep in mind that before you go into something, it's a good idea to assess the damage.
Yes.
And then in addition to that, let's factor in that AI is progressing at such an alarming rate that we don't even know that these data centers aren't going to be obsolete in a few years. Look at my phone. This phone that I have right here is a phone. You look at that and you say, wow, well, this is more powerful than the computer we used for Apollo in sending someone to the moon. So when we see what's happening, and now that we have AI entering the picture, we may not need these data centers at all. And think of how much energy they consume. 4 large data centers consume as much energy as all of the energy consumed by all the homes in the entire state. And we have 70 data centers already. Now, when I was out there, an interesting thing happened. We saw the cacophony, the noise that went 24/7 right next to the people's home. In fact, they were mining Bitcoin at this one. And then we had one of the drivers of that actually ran in on purpose to one of my people working for me. And we had 2 press people with us at the time. And he got hurt. He had to go to the hospital last night. So when we talk about data centers, we can't just rush into this thing.
No.
And that's why
they need to be very well investigated.
Rup asked, would I accept any
But I
money?
think you're right about the power. Look what
You
they've done
can't.
in nuclear. I'm kicking you on the table. You're looking at me. Look me up there. That's just our joke here. Everybody knows I do that. The nuclear reactors now, the nuclear powers, they're so much smaller now. They're not the great big monster things anymore. So
And they're the cleanest form of energy.
they
by the way.
are.
Yeah,
so
it's the
I
most
don't.
efficient.
Yeah, it is. So I think you're right about things shrinking and maybe those buildings. It would be. I think we'd have a lot less angst if they weren't so huge. I did an investigation too. I went down to Ohio with New Albany, Ohio, where they have like 80 of these. It's a mega data center. There's like 80 of them in one spot. And of course, the town is rich.
Well, that's why what I wanted to point out was how stupid our government was. I had mentioned in the debate in Oakland County that we have the most ideal environment anyone would ever want for a data center. We don't need to incentivize people to come here.
Right.
Give them rebates. Think about it. We have more coastline than any state in the union, and we have a cool climate 6 months of the year.
Yep.
And when they're hot, it's expensive to cool them. So if you had to pick any place in the world where you would want to put a data center, this is it. Why would we have to go and give rebates?
Right.
And I had said that on the debate stage in Oakland. I said, this is nuts.
That's a very good point.
Ever.
Very good point. All right. Well, we got about 1,100 Perry Johnson for governors here. So I'm not going to go through every one of them. I'm just going to say that you got a lot of support here, and I've been told by your team I got to get you out of here about now. So I promised them as much as I'd like to sit and just go for this.
I would like to do this for another half hour.
Hey,
I have another media event.
Well, I'll tell you what. We do this anytime you want to come back. I will turn this camera on and we'll sit here and you give me an afternoon and we'll just sit and talk. So, Perry, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And all right, everybody, this was
it's very important to get out and vote.
It is. It's very important, and we're pushing. I also want to make the quick announcement that we are Livingston County is now doing free Zoom 10x votes every Sunday at 7:30. Look at our Facebook page for that. So we'll be right back. Rob Barad is going to come in here and talk to you about some 2A and some preparation stuff. So we're going to be back shortly.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls' and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, Chair of the Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did.
I chose to become a prosecutor because I believe in holding offenders accountable, protecting victims' rights, and maintaining public safety. I also understand that justice is due equally to both defendants and victims. As your circuit court judge, I'll bring that same firm but fair focus to the bench, because I believe defendants deserve a fair trial, victims deserve to have their rights protected, and the public deserves a safe community to live in. I'm Christopher Candela, and I'm asking for your vote for 44th Circuit Court Judge.
This will be fun.
One more.
I'm an attorney who goes to work every day to fight for our community and defend our Constitution. My name is Christina Like, and now I want to be your next circuit court judge. And that means ensuring our constitutional rights are protected, protecting the innocent lives of our children, making decisions based upon rule of law and not politics, making court more affordable, and always placing the people first.
Hey, wait a second. You're not Perry Johnson. I'm not Deb Drick. What's going on here? Where'd Deb go? Well, we're running rogue, folks. We're going to talk to you about 2A and 2A Day coming September 12th, 2026. It's over at A1 Rental, and it's going to be a great time. What do we have? We got like a whole bunch of vendors and
food trucks. We're going to have demonstrations, whatever, right? Everything 2A related. Come out, have fun, get some good food.
Heck yeah.
Have a great time.
Yep. And one other thing we want to talk about, folks, is the gun vote. The gun vote, little known thing, that there are 41% of Michiganders own a gun. That means that we could be the largest voting bloc that's out there. I think that we can really work together to help our candidate for governor get across the finish line, whomever that might be. I really want everybody to go to gunvotes.com, get involved, and create a chapter in your area. And for all those folks that normally have heard of 2A Day, but never have gone out to 2A Day, what do you think? It's about time they come out.
It's time they come out, and you have no excuse this year because it's free.
That's right. It's free, so no more excuses, folks. We want to see you there. All right. Take care. I'm Rob.
Norris.
Take care, everybody. Have a great night.